Hello, my name is Jawad Ali, and in this video, I will be talking about risk analysis. This is just an introduction to risk analysis. I will be discussing what is risk analysis, what are the methods of risk analysis, what are the components. It will not dive into detail, it will just give you an idea of what risk analysis is about. So let's start with the definition of risk analysis. And the definition of risk analysis is about finding the level of risk. So, as you can see from the name itself, an risk analysis, analyzing the risk. What analyzing the risk means is that what is the level of risk? That's the analysis. How much risk do you have? Is it bad? Is it too bad? Is it, medium? So this is just that risk analysis. It consists of the structure, the risk analysis, and this is very much agreed upon by everybody in the security industry, at least in the risk industry as well, that risk analysis consists of two components: likelihood, the chance of something happening. Risk consists of an event that could happen in the future. It may happen or it may not happen. It has a chance. Likelihood is that chance. What is the chance of that event that you consider in risk analysis happening? And then there's a consequence. Okay, we have calculated the chance of the risk happening, but what if the risk happened? What if the risk happens? What if the risk materializes? What is the impact? And this is about answering that question. Consequence is what is the impact when the risk occurs? So these two components combine together to create risk analysis. And what is risk analysis? It's about finding the levels of risk. Is it high level? It is lower level. You can also say this in numbers. You can also say this in, of course, a high, medium, or low. It depends. But this is a risk analysis. Okay, so how do you do this? There are three ways you can do this: qualitative, semi-quantitative, and quantitative. Oh, so let's start with quantitative because this is what I have in the left side. Quantitative is about the likelihood and impact that is represented as numbers. So when likelihood is represented as numbers, when consequence is represented as numbers, this is quantitative risk analysis in very simple terms. An example is, for example, somebody asks you to do a risk analysis and you said, okay, I'll do this. And you calculated the quantitative risk analysis and you reached to the conclusion that likelihood is between 1 to 5 years. And the impact is if the risk occurred, it would be 1 in 3 million. So this is risk analysis. You are not using medium, high, medium, and low. When you are using numbers in simple terms, this is quantitative risk analysis. Using numbers as opposed to high, medium, and low is quantitative risk analysis. And a good example is FAIR. So there are many ways you can do risk analysis. Not many ways, fewer ways, but one of the way is FAIR. So this is the FAIR way of risk analysis. I won't dive into the details. It would just, to give you an idea, if you are searching for a method to do quantitative risk analysis, which is actually difficult, a FAIR is a nice place to have, to go to and learn about quantitative risk analysis. They have a ton of resources. So this is why I mentioned it. It's just a method for conducting quantitative risk analysis. This is a very established framework you can use. All right. Moving on to the qualitative risk analysis. Now we have already discussed quantitative. Quantitative is numbers, qualitative. In qualitative risk analysis, the likelihood and impact, which we discussed are two important things, are calculated using subjective analysis, subjective subject matter expertise. So a person, let's say a security person or a manager or a executive would say, well, based on my thinking, I think it is high or it is medium or it is low. It is a subjective understanding of the person. So qualitative risk analysis is about using subjective opinions of the people with low, medium, and high categories. So high, this is how it works. You have matrix like this. You are saying, all right, we have low, we have medium. There are no numbers here. As you can see, there are no numbers. It's just your subjective opinion, your opinion. So subjective thing. It's not an objective thing. It's not using any data. It's a person saying, based on my experience, I consider this as a medium. I consider this very high. Sometimes there is no explanation. The only explanation is the person is qualified. He has a subject matter expertise. That's all. A subject matter expert means that a person who has experience in an area, in a field, and so, that can be considered as something useful. All right. And we have the third one is semi-quantitative risk analysis. This is, this is a type of analysis that is between quantitative and qualitative. So it uses both numbers and, of course, high, medium, and low subjective understanding, subjective opinions of the people. And one of the understanding is in quantitative risk analysis we have just numbers, but here we have very low, low, medium, high, and very high. We also have this scales. So these scales are qualitative scales. Remember that these scales are qualitative scales, just like we have here. We also have here in semi-quantitative, but we also have numbers. So when qualitative scales of negligible, minor, moderate, and this very likely, etc., when you add numbers to what is likely, what is moderate, when you assign numbers to this thing, it becomes semi-quantitative, and it's very useful. It's a balance, it's a balanced thing. So sometimes you may not have the resources to conduct risk quantification. Risk quantification is expensive. You're going to need data. You're going to do a lot of analysis. You also need skills and competencies, so it's difficult. For qualitative, sometimes it's just two-way. You cannot explain it to a board and executive what you just did. People don't know what is medium, what is high, and semi-quantitative can fix that gap. It can tell you what is low, what is medium, what is high. For example, very likely. What is very likely? It has a chance of occurring that is zero point 0.9, less than zero point 0.9 a year. And likely it has zero point 0.1 to zero point 0.9. So yeah, you can see this. This is this assigning numbers to the scale. This becomes semi-quantitative. I don't want to dive into this another area, but semi-quantitative tends to be expensive in resources. You need skill, you need it's also slow, so it tends to take more resources. So you use quantitative risk analysis for important risks that are very useful. Qualitative, when there are risks that are not too important, maybe medium type of risks. So you can use qualitative risks, and semi-quantitative when you have something in between the two, qualitative and semi and quantitative risk analysis. So you can use semi-quantitative. So this is it between, this is just a brief introduction. It's not diving into the details. There are probably a ton of details. I've also written down the problems and, where it is useful and what are the benefits. There's also fair. There's also problems with risk identification. It's not relevant to risk analysis, but there's, as you can see, this is a loss exceeding curve. This is Monte Carlo simulations. This is a fair model. I won't dive, but quantitative numbers, qualitative, high, medium, and low, semi-quantitative, high, medium, and low with numbers. That's all. That's all you need to know. All right, that's it for today. Thank you very much. If you like and subscribe, that would be very useful. This is the early start of the channel. Thank you very much.